This is the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus. So, a bit about this podcast. This is the first episode of the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. So, we are going to go over what the journey of being a tattoo collector is like. The ups, the downs, the do's, the don'ts. Just everything. This isn't going to be a run-on of, tattoo technique or anything like that. This is going to be personal experiences of what it's like to get tattooed and what it's like to be the tattoo artist and client-artist interaction and everything in between. We might touch on spiritual subjects. We might touch on anything. I don't know. We're going to have fun. It's going to be a good time. And we're just going to sit and smoke a lot of weed, hang out, and talk. We got 2 microphones. We got a lot of dabs. We got a lot of blunts. And we're just going to talk tattoo. So, we hope you enjoy it. There will be a lot of good nuggets of information. If you're looking for any information on me or Fawn Baker, you can find us at Red Tree Tattoo in Columbus, Ohio. That's Red Tree Tattoo and Gallery. You can also find me, Jordan Ruckus, on Instagram at jordanruckustattoo@gmail.com. Or that is my email, but Instagram is Jordan Ruckus Tattoo. Just that. No at Gmail. No need to put that in there. I'm just really high. We just did the first podcast. Now, I thought I should let you guys know that we're just getting used to the mics. We're just getting used to this equipment. And it's going to grow. And you're going to grow with us. But we have a lot of good information. We have a lot of cool guests. We're going to have a lot of guests. And I think that's going to be really fun. So I'm excited to hear what they have to say. And I'm excited to give something back to you guys. So without further ado, the Tattoo Collecting Podcast. Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. And we're here. Day number 1 of the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn Baker and Jordan Ruckus.
Dun, dun, dun. What are we going to talk about, Jordan?
Today, what are we going to talk about today? Let's see what we have on the roster.
I feel like we should talk about me and you the most.
That's a good idea.
Myself and yourself.
What makes us qualified to talk about tattoo collecting and tattooing in general? What do we do for a living? Where are we from?
Yep,
Who's Fawn
all
Baker?
of that.
Who's Jordan Ruckus?
Yep.
Let's tell you all about it.
Okay. So I think it's important to explain why I want to talk about tattoo collecting. I am a tattoo collector, but over the last several years I have been collecting incredibly heavily and from some very big artists. And Jordan is also a tattoo collector, and he's kind of towards the beginning of his bodysuit journey. So,
Yes.
First of all, we're both tattooers who are obsessed with what we do, and then we're both, I think, equally passionate about collecting and learning from other artists.
Fawn, when did you start your tattoo collection?
I got my first tattoo when I was almost 19. I didn't rush into it or anything. we started looking when I was like 17 for an artist, and it took like a year and a half to actually get the first one. So my first tattoo was small, but I was very patient with the process. And I love what I have. The only regret about my first tattoo is if I would have known I was going to get as covered as I am now, I would have made it much larger. But to think about when I started collecting like large pieces seriously, I think I was 27 and I'm 34 now. And my first really what I would consider a big piece was my leg sleeve. And Adam France did that for me, and it was about a 4-year journey. And then while we were working on that, we started my chest piece, which led to other projects. So it just, once I started that one large full limb project, all the other opportunities just started presenting themselves. So let's see, that's 7 years, 8 years. In that time, I've gotten my full back piece from top of my shoulders to the bottom of my butt cheeks that connects to my leg sleeve. I've got my full chest done. I've got a couple of large pieces on each of my sides. And then all that has been filled in and connected by Guy Aitchison. So my armpits are by Guy. My chest is a collaborative project between Adam France and Ty McEwen. That was an incredible journey. I learned so much from that project. My full back piece is by Russ Abbott. One side of my head was done by an artist from Michigan named Carissa Gray. And the other side of my head was done by black and gray monster master Jesse Levitt. So I also have a large piece that Russ and Tofi did collaboratively for me on my opposite leg of the sleeve. And then I've got a few, I call them sporaditats, like my little, I don't want to call them jammers, but my smaller tattoos. I've been worked on by Layla D'Amato, AJ McMillan from here in Columbus. An artist named James Etheridge has done a couple pieces. But like over the last several years, I've just been collecting from people who I want to learn from. So for me, that's a big part of my motivation is learning and honestly stealing their tricks, and seeing how they run their business, how they do things. Now as I'm like down to only my arm sleeves left and just a portion of my leg, it's almost becoming bittersweet that I only have like X amount of room left to collect from so many amazing artists.
Running out of space.
So I'm in that, like, I have ideas for both arms, but as heavily as I've been collecting, I'm not necessarily rushing. So I've both been incredibly patient, waited for the opportunity for the right artist to work on me. So the cool thing is I'm close to a bodysuit and I don't have any cover-ups, nothing like that. I took a lot of heat early on in my tattoo career for not being heavily tattooed, but now that I am more covered, the role has changed a little bit. You know, I can speak about my experiences traveling and collecting with other like heavy hitter collectors, and I'm talking to them as a collector, not even like a tattooer that's talking about the experience. Like I get excited to collect, to have that new piece, to learn from that artist, and then also like the spiritual exchange from me and that artist is incredibly important.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something that I didn't expect. I didn't expect the spiritual transformation and the spiritual connections with my artist, so that's a really cool surprise and added bonus with my tattoo collecting.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get like more in detail with each of those projects like throughout today's podcast, but tell us a little bit about your collecting experience so far, Jordan?
So my collecting experience. So, Fawn, I feel like you've been a serious collector now for a little while. You've been getting a lot of pieces. I feel like I'm just starting my journey now. Past couple of years have been the beginning of it. I have my sleeve done by Adam France. That's still a work in progress. Nathan Marty has done my chest. And Stephen Wheeler on one of my arms. Those are the three artists that I have really worked with so far. But now I have Guy Atchison, who's about to start my back here in about a month. And we're going to do a two-day session on that. It'll be a big endeavor. But for me, it's just starting the journey. So you guys get to walk with me as I go, dive into this. So you got Fawn, the experienced, and then me, who's starting to dive into this. As a tattooer, I've been tattooing for 7 years,
So let me ask you this. I should know, but I can't remember. Which project did you start first, your arm or your chest?
My arm.
So we both started our journey of large full limb projects with the same artist. So that's a cool thing we have in common. We didn't know each other then.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Do you think Adam... Let me ask like this. What do you think it is about Adam that makes him such a good go-to artist for somebody who's jumping into a big collection? Because I know he does a lot of first, full limb pieces on a lot of people. What do you think it is about Adam that makes him that magic, catalyst to being addicted?
That's a good question. I guess I never really thought about it like that.
I haven't either until this moment, so.
I think a lot of it is, he does a lot of showing his process from start to finish. So you know what to expect with his work. You know what it's going to look like after the first session, with just line work or just basic shading. You know what to expect when it's finished. But also seeing all the Sharpie drawings, everything's done by hand and seeing all that. But then there's the personality side of it, too. He's, seemed like a really cool dude.
I always call him a wizard. Anytime I talk about him with other artists when I'm traveling, the conversation somewhere, I always end up saying he's driving his own spaceship.
Yeah.
He definitely he breaks a lot of rules. He bends a lot of rules as far as what's expected out of him. But I think there's a lot of magic that he puts into him.
That's what I would touch on too. I'm glad you brought that part up, because that's really what I seen it is that. He's one of those artists out there that are really following their passion, really, doing art for the sake of art, painting because they just truly love to paint, doing tattoos because they just truly love it. It's not about the money. Maybe they got to pay the bills, but it's about the art. Mm-hmm. And so I followed his work for years, and I always seen that. And as an artist myself, I kind of, connected with that. And just loved his work. What he was putting out was super dope. Everything, the next piece better than the last. And I see that in artists, and those are the kind of artists that I go to. They're always growing. Yeah. So as long as you want to wait to go to them, or if you want to go to them right away, it's like a nice wine. It's only gonna get better. It's only gonna get better.
I feel that.
Until they break their hands or something, so don't wait too long.
I mean, ironically, he has a messed up hand.
Does he really?
He was screwing off and messed up these bones in his left hand, so it's weird when he stretches. But maybe he's better afterwards. I don't know.
You're right. Super hands.
We smoke blunts. That's not a COVID cough. I don't want to make jokes. That is the blunt.
We smoke our fair share of weed.
Yeah. We got a new batch we're testing out this morning, so if you guys feel the urge to try and keep up, we do definitely encourage lighting up a blunt while you're listening to this, unless you're tattooing or you're at work. But if you can smoke at work, light them up. If you're sitting at home, light them up. If you're working on something right now, just light it up. Yes. Right. Come get high with us. This is our time to just chill, talk about tattoo collecting, and maybe get a little high. Because I know we are. Absolutely. You know, because you talk about tattoo collecting, I think that's really important. I want to make this clearly a place to share knowledge for the collectors. I think it's going to be helpful for tattooers as well, but I don't think this should be a how-to tattoo or
Yeah, it's not going to be that.
I think maybe down the road we could get to critiquing collections, but I don't necessarily want to critique and, you know, I don't want this to be the source for artistic tricks and secrets. I want this to be the source for collectors to know how to look for the artist that knows those secrets already.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
So I want this to be helpful just by teaching all the little nuances that as tattooers we want our collectors to know. But there's not really a place for somebody who's never had a tattoo and is halfway through their life to learn the etiquette of getting a tattoo. Like, some people truly don't know whether they should tip. Some people truly don't know that it's inappropriate to call their artist at 2 a.m. Some people don't know that. So I want this to be the place to teach those things that seem like they should be obvious, as well as the place that we can talk about like the spiritual journey and growth through our collection and collecting. I think that's something that I want to be super clear that we want to talk about the process of collecting, not how to and needle groupings and color choices. I want to talk about the experience and relationship between client and artist rather than artist and artwork.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I think aren't talked about enough and should be. There's no reason they aren't. It's just I feel like not enough people have taken the time to do it. So, what do you think? What are some of your goals with the information we're sharing?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you've said. I would like to make a guide for people to, something fun to listen to, but at the same time for the tattoo collector, for somebody who's looking to either start their journey, continue their journey, or, wrap up their journey, any stage of it, at least knowing where to start and seeing it from the point of view and perspectives of so many other collectors who have spent years collecting, tattoo artists who can share stories of clients, and clients who can share stories of tattoo artists. Mm-hmm. Not just made for the tattoo artist, like you're saying, made for, everybody who gets tattooed. It's for getting tattooed. It's for the art. It's for the journey. Like, we want to help get that across.
Who have never considered getting a tattoo, but like maybe they think it's taboo. If they could hear some of our talks, maybe they would see that it's not what it is at face value, that there's so much more to collecting and the motivations for collecting. I think there's just a lot of things that aren't shared enough.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And with my journey, when I get tattooed, I want this to be an outlet to be able to, describe to the community, what this was like for me, or, to someone who's looking to start a big back tattoo. Like, I'll come on here and I'll, discuss with you guys what that was like for me, how bad it was, what bad it was, the interaction I had with my artist while I was going through that.
You're getting ready to start yours. I just had my back completed in November, so it's less than a year completed, and it took 2 years. So I feel like we're going to be sharing a lot of the journey of our back pieces alone, but like the whole bodysuit collection. Are you going for full coverage? Is that your goal?
Yeah, I'm going to go for full coverage, and my entire body will be covered 100%. Like bodysuit, I'll figure out a way to wrap things up, bring things together later on as that evolves. But definitely with Guy, we're going to be doing my entire back, and then once that's done, move down to the cheeks.
Are you going to go down to the cheekies?
Yeah. Not in that first sesh, though. I want to be able to sit and lay down.
Yeah.
And I don't want all the way down to the cheekies.
Not the first time.
Not the first.
It's miserable trying to
No,
drive
and that's
back.
a lot. Like, just the
is.
cheeks, like, that's a big space. Like, that's another thing to get into.
Space.
Space.
The trick of the eye and how much space or how little
Right.
space.
If you laid your butt cheeks down, each butt cheek is probably equivalent to like at least a 10 by 10 piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
And
a
that's
big
lot
piece of paper to
That's a
cover.
big piece of paper that is all super sensitive.
And
it
super
only gets
soft.
more sensitive. It goes from being sensitive to like crazy sensitive. Awful. I don't recommend it. I feel like if it wasn't for numbing cream, I fully admit it. I use numbing cream, and we will definitely delve into the pros and cons of numbing creams. But I couldn't have gotten through any of the area near the butt crack or like the lower bottom inner butt crack area. I couldn't have gotten through it. It was so hot, so incredibly hot. I couldn't have sat still for him if I wanted to without the numbing cream.
Yeah.
So brutal.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah, don't be afraid of the pain, but be prepared for the pain.
absolutely.
I don't let the fear of the pain even affect my decision on my tattoo, but you still,
Once you're
know
committed,
that
you're
it's going
committed.
to, you're going to be going through it. Don't jump into a tattoo thinking this isn't going to hurt, because then when it fucking hurts, you're going to be shit out of the luck.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel like different variables in your life affect pain differently?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, there's multiple things to get into on that. I mean, first off, if you're going into it, it's like you're going into a tattoo when someone in your family died that morning. And here, this for example. So I had a family come in years ago to when I was working at Sacred Expressions. They come in like 4 or 5 people strong the night before the mom's son died, and she comes in with the entire family to all get memorial tattoos, and they were like hysterical. It was the most painful, awkward ordeal I've ever went through in my entire life. So that's an extreme. This is an extreme, but just for example, like, that is not the time to get tattooed. If you got serious shit happening in your life, like, maybe tattooing is your therapy, but make sure that you're dealing with, things in life properly. Don't just go jump to a tattoo, make those impulsive decisions. But
I feel like maybe reach out immediately, but actually
they reached out, and then they came in, and then the reality sunk in of what was actually going on. It was it was somebody recently passed, this and this, and they come in, and it was like yesterday. And so they were like, they got so upset with us multiple times because they want all this stuff done short amount of time. They're super upset about things. We ended up, disagreeing on things and didn't end up doing the tattoo. They were too caught up with what was going on, and so we were just not comfortable. Like, that was what happened. We're just like, we're not comfortable. You guys are. We understand your state you're in, and that you guys want to memorialize him and all that, but it's just not the right time right now. The way, you guys are overcomplicating these things, but we understand your emotional state, and honestly, it's just not the right time.
I feel like myself, when I schedule, if I have a memorial tattoo, I try to make sure I'm either tattooing like a close friend or homie the next day, or I've got the day off. Because I feel like as a person, I'm quite a bit of an empath. So when I'm in that room with somebody who's emotional all day, even if it's not a recent loss, just the fact of being tattooed because of this is going to bring up those thoughts and feelings. And I feel like for me as an artist, it's incredibly draining. it's one of the things I love about the job, but at the same time, I'll just be emotionally exhausted the next day. Do you feel the same way after you do something real heavy, or after you work on somebody that's going through something real heavy? Do you feel like sometimes the energy rubs off on you?
Yes, hugely. I'm definitely super empathic, and there's a level of it. Like I build a boundary with people, but when people are in hardcore emotional states like that, so it's not always the best to get tattooed, because you don't also want your artist to feel super weird during the tattoo. Like I get it. Like, I don't mean to sound selfish, but if I'm feeling really awkward during the tattoo, that could possibly affect your tattoo maybe, but
I've definitely had moments where, like, I personally get so emotional, it's like, hold on, I gotta take a break and go compose myself before I can, like, jump into this again. Have you had to, like, step away and catch your breath?
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah,
come back into it with, like, a fresh soul?
Yeah, I've had a number of clients. Luckily, mostly my clients, I am blessed with such amazing clients. Like, thank you guys for coming through and just being great people, honestly. Understanding people. But there have been a few out of the bunch that, just go against the river, go against the grain. All right, what was the question? I forgot.
We're just talking tattoo talk, emotionally charged clients.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've had a few.
Yeah. As a collector, I've definitely noticed that there is definitely a difference. If I show up to my tattoo and I'm like in the middle of a good week or a good month, and I'm like, in a good place mentally, I feel like those are the days that I have more stamina. Those are the days that I can sit better and I can just like mentally talk myself through things better. Whereas like if I'm worried about 1,000 things, or there's something I'm super stressed about, or like a relationship issue can be awful if you're going through something like that. Like,
yeah,
I've noticed one of my worst sessions is when I was going through some like relationship drama. I just could not wrap my head around the pain, and I was just like over it the whole time. Like I just felt like I was punishing myself the whole time I sat there.
it can make things way worse. I feel like it affects your patience. The ability to sit there and deal with it. You don't have that. You don't have that mental strength. Like when you're beat down, you feel like vulnerable when you're like that. So you just don't have that. That toughness. That's like yeah, make it fucking through this shit. Like, oh my god, I hurt so bad, but I'm gonna make it. It's like life fucking. It's like you're already like life fucking sucks, and then no, this sucks even more.
Oh, right in the kidney. Awful.
But yeah, try to make things easy on yourself, and know that it's just gonna make things worse if you do go in there in an emotional state. It's just like taking acid. Like, don't take acid if you
That's a good rule.
Maybe don't take acid if you're someone. I don't. Take acid. I think you should. But
don't set yourself up for a bad trip.
Exactly.
Don't set yourself up for a bad day.
You wouldn't
headspace.
Go take acid right after your girlfriend breaks up with you.
Don't do that.
At least don't do that. Like that might seem like a reasonable option for someone. Don't do it. It's not reasonable. It will end up bad. It will always end up bad. Yeah. Unless you're out in the middle of the woods.
Yep. That's the best place to play with chemistry anyways.
You'll always get what you need out in the middle of the woods.
Yes. All the inspiration, all the sounds, feels. Love them.
All right.
All the natures.
I got to use the restroom and get some more coffee. We're going to pause and be right back. And we are back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn and Jordan.
What up?
We're
gonna get some theme music. We're working on that.
Yeah. Yep.
It's in the works.
I think our buddy Tony's gonna help us out.
Double.
T-double, bud.
Yep. Theme music will be great.
Yep. If you don't know who T-double is,
you will though.
You're gonna learn.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn.
You know, he'd be a great one to just sit and talk with as well.
Oh, absolutely. He's got a great collection as well.
Industry, and he's been worked on by a ton of people.
Yeah, I love Tony.
Yeah, he's got some great graffiti pieces. After seeing so many horrible graffiti pieces, it's really nice to see some good ones that have like stood up, lasted. He's got some rad things going on. Who else do you think would be good to talk to? Derb, of course.
Yep, Derb would be a great person to talk to.
To completing his bodysuit as well, which I think is kind of cool.
I think if we can ever extract anything from Marty, that would be amazing. That would be like a dream.
I feel like we could probably just go set up.
Exactly, right? I know, but it's like a dream. It's dope. It's so cool that we have that opportunity.
On the window ledge.
Right.
Marty, what do you think about this?
Yeah,
like
right.
On an arm. Be perfect.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, we need to get as
Marty
many
Holcomb.
girls of Marty Holcomb wisdom as we can.
Marty Holcomb is the wizard. He invented the painting style of tattooing. He is just amazing. If you don't know who he is, look him up.
Absolutely. He's like the first illustrative tattooer to exist. He was the first one to like break rules and use the tattoo machine as a paintbrush. I'm sure there have been others, but I think Marty's just prolific. He's done so many amazing like large body suits that are just every color under the sun. Love Marty's work. And
he's such a cool dude.
Stuff that he did back in the 80s looks as good as stuff that's like 4 or 5 years old. Like, he's a wizard. I mean, talk about Adam being a wizard.
He's the Jeff Bridges of the tattoo community.
Absolutely.
He is. He's definitely the Big Lebowski.
Absolutely.
That is Marty. In the best way.
And he's so good at telling stories, too. Like, all the details are there. And he'll tell you, like, for instance, he could just tell us about the first time he met Lyle Tuttle, and that'd be a whole, like, there we go. That's a whole episode.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We got to get him. We got to talk to him.
Yeah.
So lots of fun stuff to come. Sorry, what?
I love working close enough to him that we can hear him talk. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel really lucky to be right next to him right there. I'm always hearing him and his clients, talk.
So, to go back to talking about Jordan and I, this is kind of a segue. We work at Red Tree Tattoo Gallery, and our tattoo rooms are both right adjacent to Marty's. So when he has his late night sessions, we get to hear all these stories and pearls of wisdom. And he knows I love listening too, so I've noticed he starts telling them a little bit louder. So that's really cool and special. So myself, I was self-taught. I didn't really have an apprentice to teach me a lot of the tattoo history. So anything that I didn't find or keep up with just from like having tattoo magazines and doing my own research, I kind of missed out on all of that history early on. So that's why it's really special to me to be able to work with Marty and to work as painterly and all of these like landscapes that I do and all this psychedelic stuff. If it wasn't for Marty doing that first, I probably wouldn't have the freedom to do it now. So it's really cool to like not only come full circle with the style of work that I'm doing and to be working with the first person who worked in those styles, but to actually hear the history firsthand, to hear them out of his mouth. Like, I'm not reading them in a magazine, and just to know all of the connections he's made throughout his life. He shared stories about other artists that he's known outside of the tattoo community, and that list is just jaw-dropping. Like, I can only fathom the things that he has from all of these artists throughout the years.
Yeah.
Apparently, he has Norman Rockwell's mall stick. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's real life. He'll tell you the story about it.
That is amazing.
Yeah. I was
So
like,
he's just
what?
supercharging his paintings with Norman Rockwell's mall stick. So it's touching his paintings.
Yeah. It's cool to
Hopefully.
see how little the community is. Like, we get to see how huge the tattoo community is, but we get to see how little it is at the same time, and how everybody really knows everybody in the grand scheme of things. And then to see how little the art community is. Like, it's huge, but at the same time, any artist we can think of is 2 phone calls away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've hung out with Alex and Allison Gray.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of jealous about that. But the opportunity will present itself. Universe.
Yeah.
But tell me what's that was like for you. Being able to just hang with artists of that caliber that you've always looked up to so much.
Oh yeah, that's always been such a wonderful thing in life.
It's surreal, huh?
It's so surreal. You look up to these people for so long. Especially Allison Gray. I thought they were. I mean, that was still kind of like a hero moment, and then it was kind of gone. I met them, got to be able to talk with them and like hang out with them for a night at one of their full moon gatherings, and that was just amazing. Got to eat dinner there and talk with them about some UFO stories and alien stories that I've had and things like that. So just being able to talk with them about that was amazing. But in the artist world and all around that, it's been amazing. So the past couple of years have just been, achieving one goal after another with tattooing and art. And as that's happened, I meet people and hang out with people that I've looked up to my entire life. And then I just am casually hanging out with them. Just like I went with Fawn to go to, she got her armpits done at Guy Atchinson's out at Hyperspace Studios. And Guy's an artist I've looked up to my entire life, my entire tattoo career at least. And then just being able to hang out there for 2 days was amazing. Such an amazing space.
You played it super cool when I was like, you want to roll out to Guys with me? He's like, let's see if I can make time.
Oh, yeah. Inside, I'm like, I wouldn't miss this for anything.
These happenstance encounters, we're going to talk about a lot, because that's one of those reasons, it's the biggest reason to be patient. If you have an idea and you are in love with an artist, be patient. The universe will present that opportunity. It'll happen. And that's where it's not a race. The opportunity will present itself when it's supposed to. And you and this artist might be on the right wavelength at the right time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that happens a lot.
Be patient.
I slid in to see Guy because Phil Robertson had to cancel. He got sick and he was like on death's door. He was fine. Everything's okay. But if it wasn't for that, I might not have had the opportunity to get in. And then once I got there and we started talking ideas and we started talking about some of Guy's paintings that were like the most inspirational to me, it just like opened a floodgate of ideas. So we took what I feel like any artist would have looked at as like a little gap filler space, and he took it and made these 2 vast spaces on each side of me. So I feel like 10 years ago I never would have thought in a million years that I would actually have the opportunity to have that man work on me. But it happened. And it didn't take as long, and it wasn't as hard as I thought, but the opportunity presented itself. I could financially deal with it. I had the availability, and just by happenstance, he had the availability. So it works out.
Yeah, it's just ends up being fairly serendipitous. I thought I was going to have to wait years to get in with a guy. I was patient. I figured I'd wait until the time was right. I knew I wanted him to do my back. But I was there with Fawn. Opportunity presented itself, so I got in. I only had to wait like 2 months. A lot of times people have to wait a year or two, more than that, to get in with him. Or artists of that caliber. And so it just worked out perfect. And then we all got to hang out. We had a bonfire. His wife is super awesome and lovely, and his wild little daughter was wonderful. They were fun.
I can't
It
wait
was
till
fun.
Kaya's like 20 and we can sit down and talk with her, and we're gonna be like,
She's gonna be
"Girl,
cool, yeah.
remember when you did this?" And
With her
she's gonna be
with
like,
her
"Oh,
parents
yeah."
being as cool as they are, with the land that they have,
Oh,
the
yeah.
way that she's gonna grow up, like
Oh, she's awesome. But it's just
little
gonna be one
indigo
of those,
child, probably.
As involved as she is in the community, just being Guy and Michelle's daughter, everybody knows Kaya.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
as she
can't
gets
wait
older,
till she's
everyone's
old
gonna know
enough
her.
to actually like reflect back and hopefully see how special all these moments are.
Mhm.
But we're all gonna give her such a hard time. Like once she's a grown up and she's one of us, she's gonna get it back.
Mhm.
She will. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely fun. I remember the first time I'm topless, Guy's working on my armpits, so I may or may not have had pasties on. I can't remember. Sometimes I wear them, sometimes I don't. But like, I'm half nude, standing there, and here comes like 7-year-old running through. I'm like, should I cover? Is it weird if I do? Weird if I don't? And Guy's like, she's comfortable with a human body, and just goes back to drawing on me like normal. So it's really cool to see the special environment that she gets to develop in. Like, she is 100% herself all the time, and that's amazing to see.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
gonna be. She's
And I'm
definitely
sure-
gonna be driving her own spaceship, just like Guy and Michelle. I love it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's what the world needs, is to put kids in such a great environment like that.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I like having kids around when I work. You know, if I have the opportunity to have my nieces or nephew around, that's fun for me. I like the creative energy that a kid brings to the room. You know, especially like a younger child who is a creative child, not the child that's like stuck in a tablet, but the child that's like either building something or exploring. I love that creative and like discovery energy that kids have. It's really fun for me to
That's
be around.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, I can be back and forth with having kids around. It just kind of depends on their behavior.
Some
honestly.
kids are already just awful people, and you don't want to be around them. That's just fair.
I do like kids, and I like helping and teaching kids as much as I can. Anytime I have the opportunity, I don't really actively put myself in the environment, but if a friend has a kid around, and we're all hanging out, like, I'm gonna interact with him as much as he wants to interact, and try to show him cool stuff, teach him something.
Did you used to draw on yourself all the time as a child?
Yeah.
Do you think that leads to being a tattoo artist? Do you think it's
Absolutely.
directly correlated?
Absolutely. I definitely remember there were nights where I sat with a marker and Sharpied on a friend's arm for like 8 hours straight, just all Adderalled out and shit, just on stimulants and fucking high as fuck. And it's like back in early high school.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
How old were you when you got your first tattoo?
First tattoo was one I did. So it was probably like 16, 17, when I first bought a shitty tattoo machine kit on fucking eBay or something.
I resisted the urge.
Oh,
I'm thankful
I
did.
didn't know any better. I didn't know anyone who tattooed. I didn't know shit about tattoo shops. That was a complete, like, it's completely behind the curtain for me. I just knew nothing about that.
Yeah. So, Jordan and I both grew up in West Michigan, and one of the things about West Michigan is there are not near as many tattoo shops, therefore not near as many quality tattooers, so it was much harder to find a good artist. that's probably why he tattooed himself. That's why I was so patient and it took so long to find somebody good. They're just
Yeah.
I'm older than Jordan, so we're talking like 2003, 2004 that I got my first tattoo. Be blessed. 3 times.
Woo! Always 3, sometimes 4.
Sometimes 4. So I ended up having to drive 75 miles for my first tattoo. That's
75 miles.
75 miles.
You resisted the urge to tattoo yourself.
Yeah, I resisted. Nice. And like
Nice.
once I started tattooing, I made a rule not to tattoo myself because I wanted to save my real estate because I knew I'd meet better artists.
After I tattooed myself for a little while, then I made that rule for sure. I just like having something I couldn't have thought of, you know. Mm-hmm. I'm always growing and my art is always changing. If I draw something and put it on myself, in 5 years, I'm going to be way better than I was 5 years before that. And I'm going to be thinking I could have done it better. Someone else does it. I don't think that way at all. I think it is what it is. It is what it is.
Jordan's fighting with his microphone today.
Yeah.
It was me yesterday, but we'll get there. We'll get comfortable doing this.
Mm-hmm. Got to be a little bit more mindful.
Yeah. One of the things you'll hear me say over and over and over again when it comes to tattoo collecting is be patient. But the other thing is be willing to travel. I've enjoyed traveling to collect tattoos always. I have gotten tattooed by some local people, but I love being in a hotel the first night after I get work done. Here's why. Clean sheets. Also, I don't have to clean them.
That is true. That is true. I guess also, something in the back of my...
and my dog sleeps with me, so if I have that first night or two without my dog and dog hair, I feel like I just have a much easier heal. So I like staying in a hotel after I get tattooed.
Yeah.
I don't mind traveling.
it's a good excuse comfortable
for me to see the country too.
Oh yeah. I prefer always every tattoo I get, I travel. It's way better.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Yeah, so when I was getting worked on by Adam, I was only driving like a little less than an hour for my appointments, but you were coming all the way from Grand Rapids to Columbus.
Yeah, it's a good 5-6 hours, but is the way I drive, you know, when I stop, if I'm by myself, I'll stop for like a half hour and just chill, you know. So, 7-hour drive each way. Not that bad at all.
Did you usually stay in town and then head back the next day, or did you drive, get tattooed, and drive back?
Hotel. I'd stay at a hotel. And it'd be like 1 or 2 day session, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way
I enjoy it.
Huh?
I like it. You need to make sure to get what you need and kind of, go to the store, get all the stuff you need. Don't use the hotel stuff on your tattoo.
How do you feel about the 2-day sessions? How do you like that? How do you like it, not like it? Pros, cons?
As the one getting tattooed, I think it's the best way to go because you can get the most done in a short amount of time. Absolutely. The healing process, you can just one big swoop.
It's like two days of progress, 1 heal. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things I like. Is it if I'm budgeting the days that I feel hit by a truck and sunburnt, then let's minimize those. Let's do 2 days back to back. I'm gonna feel hit like a bus the second day, but I only got to go through this heal process half as many times if I can do all of them 2 days back to back. So I don't know. That's a big variable for me.
Yeah, I try to do if I can afford it. I always try to. I think it's the best way to go. You get the most out of it. And as the tattoo artist, I know how the 2-day sessions go for the artist. Because for the artist, they're in the moment. They're just so in the game. If they can just jump right back into it the next day, I just feel like they're already in their groove. They don't need to spend that hour or two getting back into the groove. They're already right there at the forefront of their brain. They have all the colors already ready, laid out most likely. They don't have to waste any time doing anything else. It's just super streamlined. So you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck and for your time. as well.
I feel the same about like collaborative projects where you've got two artists working on new ones. You just feel murdered at the end of the session, but it's only one heel.
Yeah,
it's
there's
the same
there's
heel.
that
it's
side
the same
for
only
sure.
One heel. So that's another thing that like not a lot of people feel like they could commit to two artists at once, but it's really not that much worse. Like it sucks, but like there comes a point where like the artists tend to get in a rhythm where like there is a constant pain all the time, where like where one's working, the other might be rinsing and changing colors, and then by the time he comes back to the skin, the other artist is ready to rinse. So it's just like a constant pain on you all the time. So now you don't have that moment of apprehension every time you get touched with the needle because it's constant. You can just breathe through it because it's a thing that is just steady and happening, and you know you've committed to it, so you just take it. There's just not that like hesitation or jump each time they go and rinse or get more color or whatever needs done. So I almost, being somebody who does not like pain and does not look forward to the pain of being tattooed, it's almost better to just suck it up and take as much as you can at once, just so your body can just recover and be done with it that many fewer times.
I completely agree.
My first large project was my leg, and it goes from hip to ankle, and it took a little over 4 years, and we saw each other regularly, like every month if our schedules permitted. But my back, which I think is just about the same amount of square inches, only took 2 years, but we did 2-day sessions for every visit. So I feel like that's a cool example of how much quicker the progress happened. Fewer heels, and I had a rad tattoo that was finished and ready to show off so much quicker.
Yeah.
So, but in reality, it was the same amount of hours if we were probably to do the math. 4 years versus 2. In the grand scheme of things.
But it's the better way to go. You don't have to do it, but it's the better way to do it.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Once you've committed,
It hurts though.
just get
But
it done as quick as you can.
on that second day, that's when the numbing stuff can take hold though. If you're one to use numbing ointments, it's everything's already open.
And that's when all the lidocaine can set in.
Yeah.
So for me, when Nathan worked on my chest, the first day was hell. It sucked. My chest was so bad. But, it's still bearable in a sense. But then the next day, I just looped it all up with a bunch of Bactine, and I couldn't feel a thing for the most part. I think it depends piece to piece, but...
Oh, the chest.
Yeah.
It brings up
I
so
want to
much
say
anxiety
I didn't
for
I
me.
could it was numb at points, but it was still a fucking train wreck, man. It was it was so bad out of my body.
Nathan does amazing work, but he is pretty relentless. He takes really long. He works in really long stretches and takes very few breaks.
He doesn't
His
take
breaks
the
are
he
very
doesn't
quick.
take the smoke breaks like we do.
Well,
He's like
I feel like as a collector, and this is why I used to rush my smoke breaks a little bit more, and now I don't. Now I just, if it takes 15 minutes, cool. If it ends up taking a half hour because a few people join us, cool. I'm not a clock watcher anyways. But I feel like when I'm getting tattooed, let's just use Russ working on my back as an example. He's not the lightest handed. He's not. He's incredibly efficient. He saturates beautifully, but he gets it done. He gets it in there. He gets it in there fast, and then he moves on. It's not a delicate way to tattoo. It heals great, but there are some parts that are kind of punishing. And where was I going with this? I start talking about the trauma on my back and lose track. Oh, the breaks. Anytime we would need to take a break, because Russ is running the whole shop, and there are times that he'd have to step away and do things, and he was planning an event at the same time that I was down there. So anyways, anytime he was working on me, and he'd be like, Fawn, do you mind if we take a break? Yes, please. Please now. And then I just know how much better I would feel after I got to just sit on the curb with my feet in the parking lot, just like catching my breath, like recentering myself, whether I was smoking or I was just sitting there. It just gave me a moment to like recollect after like having my kidneys beat up for the last hour.
Yeah, I want as a client and
So-
as a client who smokes weed, I want those smoke breaks.
Yeah.
Like I want to be able to do that. So I appreciate that. And as the artist, I want to be able to have those breaks for my own sanity, and I know you feel that way. And so, we don't spend the most time on the breaks, but an adequate amount of time.
I feel like the way that you and I work, though, we get a lot done. We'll work for like
Oh yeah,
anywhere
Uh,
between
two,
an hour
three-
and a half and 3 hours, and then we'll get
And
a
then
huge portion of the
half hour
project.
break, 20-minute half hour break, and then we're back at it.
Yep.
and
but
then
it's
huge
almost
stretch.
Like starting fresh. We'll start. I feel like you do the same thing that I do. Once you lay out a tattoo, you just kind of go section.
It's
by
kind of like
section.
step by step, and I'll get through a step or two, and then be able to,
Like, here's a good
like I'll
stopping
get
point.
like
We can
the
restart
stencil
here.
down,
Mhm.
get all like that real precise stuff, get all the information down for me to be able to go back to. And then once that's down, hour and a half to 3 hours in, then smoke time.
Yeah.
Time for a break, time to chill. We'll eat some food. We'll chill, we'll smoke. I usually have anywhere from 1 to 3 solid, half hour breaks throughout. So an hour and a half to an hour of, good break time during our tattoos. And, you'll almost everything I do is 5 hours or so. And so I usually tell everyone, plan on being there all day, 7 to 8 hours, even if we're just tattooing 5 to 6 hours, because there's going to be some extra time of just chilling and hanging out, and be prepared for that and be excited for it, because it gives us time to just be able to chill and not just be like, tattoo, get out of here.
I feel
It's a
like
we
that's
hang
a nice
out.
thing, both as a tattooer and a collector, to like commit to the full day. Then neither one of us have to watch the clock. Nobody's stressing about what time it is or how fast this is getting done or how long you've been working, how long the breaks were. We can keep it comfortable. We can keep it casual. I know I work incredibly efficiently, so I know I'm not the kind of artist that is gonna dilly-dally and stretch a project out and like nickel and dime you. Like, you're gonna get your money's worth.
Mhm.
Like, I've committed my whole day to you. So if we take a break every hour because you need a break every hour, that's fine. If we take a break every 3 hours because I forget that I need a break, that's fine too. I feel like as a collector, those breaks are always so like welcome, and I like to use them. I try to be careful not to like get into any like real text messages with family or anything. I might check in, let them know how I'm doing, but I try to just use those break time moments to like recenter and almost like coach myself back to like, this isn't gonna kill you, Fawn. Nobody's ever died from this. You're gonna make it. You can sit for another 3 hours.
Yeah. Yep. The coaching yourself part.
Yeah, I
The-
kind of need that to
just
get myself like recentered.
Giving yourself the pep talk. You gotta do it. Do it. Always have that part of you that just kind of talks to yourself and
I know
just
some people
pep
that I
talks
work
you
on,
in a hard time.
Some people that I work on just kind of disappear and they can go elsewhere and they can totally block the pain out. I wish I could. I'm there with it the whole
Yeah.
time. I am with the pain. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a really hard time like meditating like while I do it. Like sometimes you hear people talk about like, meditating on the pain and stuff, and that'll make it better. But when I do, man, it's really hard. Like, easy way for me is to like think and have my mind overtly conscious of everything. So like, I don't know, just being mentally stimulated while I'm working or while I'm getting tattooed helps me, as opposed to trying to keep my mind still. And like, ultimately that's what I would imagine me wanting to do to get the best out of the experience, But like the easiest way for me to deal with pain is just to keep my mind moving.
I'm drinking coffee. I needed a sip. I got cotton chops. Catch me trip over my words here and there. That's the cotton mouth. Should we smoke another? It's been
Yeah.
5 minutes since we put the last one.
Yeah, let's roll another. I think it's a nice time for a commercial break. Here's a word from our sponsors. And we're back to the Tattoo Collecting Podcast with Fawn and Jordan. We are on blunt number 3, everybody. I hope you are rolling up, lighting up, and smoking up. We're here to talk about tattoos and tattoo collecting. Fawn's here to talk about tattoos and tattoo collecting.
Yes.
So I want to talk about a little bit what makes us qualified a little bit to talk about this. We went over a little bit in the beginning. So as artists, Fawn, you owned a tattoo shop before, didn't you?
2.
You own 2 tattoo shops. How long have you been tattooing?
Blunt got me. Hold on a sec. I got to drink the coffee.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Started tattooing in 2008, so this winter will be 12 years.
And you're a painter too?
Yeah, I've always been a painter. Went to art school in Detroit. I went to CCS. I don't have my degree from there because Republicans. I'll just leave it at that.
Fuckers.
Long story short, Republicans.
Non-biased. I don't care if
Yeah,
you're Republican.
it's okay though. I feel like if we're talking about what makes us qualified to speak about tattoos and collecting, I think what makes us both qualified is we both are, very active in the tattoo community and the industry. But we're both passionate about collecting and the people working with us.
Right. We're directly a part of everything while directly experiencing it from so many different people. We see it from, we get 10 plus perspectives per day to see this from. We walk from one client to the next, from every tattoo artist to the next at our studio. And like you were saying, everyone's connected to everyone. So like through these tattoo conventions, through the tattoo community, we've met so many different artists, seen it through so many different perspectives. Like it's hard to put something past us. Like we've kind of seen. I'm 28 right now, and I already feel like I've kind of seen it all from just like being so immersed in the tattoo community.
Yeah.
But I still feel like I'm just starting my journey. So there's plenty more complaints to come out. Plenty more awesome dream clients to come up. Every single thing still to happen.
Yeah, we're incredibly fortunate, the opportunities that have been given us. I feel like the thing that makes me the most qualified is just like the passion, the motivation to collect, the things that I've learned through collecting that I didn't expect to learn. I didn't expect it to be a spiritual journey whatsoever. And I think that some of those things that I've experienced and learned, I think they need to be shared with people. I think not that everybody should go out and get a bodysuit. I'm not saying that's the commitment that everybody should make. But I think one of the things that people should think about is how your tattoos help you grow into yourself. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like as you collect more and like, we're kind of the opposite in our collection. Your arms are both covered, but your torso and everything's still very open. Do you feel more in your own skin the more covered in ink you are, or are you just chasing being the painted man?
Oh, more comfortable in my skin, definitely. I think it's not about being fully tattooed for me. It's just about collecting art. I'm looking to collect art from artists because of the art that they make and that the vision that they have. I want that on me. It's not about like seeing something covered as much as like putting that's space, that's real estate for something really beautiful.
Okay. Now that we're on the real estate topic, what, aside from Guy, now that that is happening and that opportunity has been presented to you and you're about to start that process with him, who is another bucket list tattooer?
Marcus Leonard and Jesse Levitt.
Nice.
I want their work. You guys, if you both want to do a collab, that would be fucking sick as fuck. Marcus Leonard, your black and gray style mixed with Jesse Levitt's fucking disgusting bio style.
Yeah.
Oh man, you guys, that would be a power collab. I think I'm gonna hit you up. I'll talk to y'all soon.
That would be rad. That would be epic. I do love Marcus's approach. I used to have a list of 3 artists that I wanted to do my left arm, and my left arm is totally open. I don't have anything on it at all. And that list was Samarina Nika, Paco Dietz, and Marcus Leonard, like one of those 3. And I've just been watching them all throughout the years. And I love Marcus's work, but man, the magic that Samarina plays with,
Man,
it's so painterly. It's like
Samarita.
she's chasing a lot of the same things with her tattoos that I'm chasing myself. But her approach is like, it's incredibly different in some ways, but it's incredibly similar to the way like I daydream and I build my projects and I morph one thing into the next. So I feel like I need to learn from her, and I need to collect from her.
She is an incredible artist. Samarita Nika on Instagram.
Yeah.
She is great.
Yeah, but Paco Dietz, he does I think it's very beautiful, but it's very grotesque bio. Like
I love the
putrid,
grotesque,
but also beautiful at the same time.
That's something I'd like to say too, like about the styles that me and Fawn do, and so where we like to touch on our own collections, where our interests are. Fawn, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
right
that's
there.
cool.
But I just wanted to. But we're going to wrap up soon. I want to get to the. So Fawn specializes in like a wonderful, like daydreamy, psychedelic landscape, like Bob Ross on acid type of style.
I'll take that. I don't know what you really call what I do. I always call it like dreamscapes.
I like
daydreams. I don't know. I like to create a space. And Jordan,
I like that.
He tends to work more with bio or with geometric stuff, but I want to talk about where he and I intersect, and that is both of our love with bioorganic and biomechanical art.
Deep love.
Yes. As different as our work is, we've got this rad medium that we can both like daydream together about and like talk about potential ideas, where as different as what we specialize in it is, there's this magic huge overlap because of our love for bio and like just huge body pieces that move and flow with you.
I think it definitely flows through our work.
Yeah.
I love your style. I love, the way you integrate, bio into your dreamy landscapes in a lot of cases, in a lot of pieces.
The thing is,
especially paintings.
We keep saying bio. What does bio mean? What does bioorganic or biomechanical mean? And bio, like that prefix bio, means alive. Let's just start there. That's what bio is. Any tattoo that looks like it's alive or growing or opening up into something else or transforming into another thing, even if it's a robotic thing, it should still look like it has this energy and this movement.
Yeah.
So anytime we talk about bio, whether we're being specific with bioorganic or biomechanical, when we say bio, we're kind of encompassing all of the subcategories, because there's like bio ornamental, where it looks like scroll work or filigree growing out of forms.
And that can be anything, like any genre.
When we say bio, we're encompassing all of those abstract realms that basically take a body part and turn it into something else. Or they take that body part and they create a space with it that looks like it's either alive or functional. So anytime we say bio, that's what we mean. Sometimes that's really confusing for people that aren't in the tattoo community, because it's a question I get a lot. Like, well, what is bio? Well, alive.
Yeah, well said.
Functional.
I think that's like the perfect explanation.
Because
that
you can put
all
nature elements, the earth elements, people that like rotting, decaying stuff, people that like bright,
right. So when you hear bio, when you hear your artist talk about anything bioorganic, biomechanical, bio anything, bio ornamental, bio anything.
Basically, it's their way of saying, how are we going to transform this into a new space?
Right. And and making it look alive, taking things from nature, taking things from life, or the organic, bioorganic. But then there's the other side of that. There's the mech side. There's the, I do a lot of stuff I like to call it like digimech or cybermech. I kind of like interweave some of those, mechanical aspects into my geometrical stuff. But when you hear mech, it's going to be more on the mechanical side. Not just gears and pistons and stuff like that, but, Android style, wires and chips and, electrical circuits and plates, big plates of armor, big huge segments of, armor plates, things that are just more mechanical in general, more artificial, human made. You got the bio aspect and then you got the mech aspect. So when you hear mech, then it's more in that aspect.
Nice.
You're thinking more robotic.
I feel like a new term that's kind of coming out is geomech, which I think you could definitely lump your work into.
Yeah.
But that's like the functional, geometric, mechanical marriage of styles.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
these are starting to get into very nuanced subcategories of bio, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
But
and I like that.
Some Polynesian.
I like these subcategories, but it's just like where the imagination goes. It's just pushing the boundaries of things. It's just people discover new things, find a new way to communicate ideas, just like a new sound or anything. They found a new way to put it together. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love flowing down that river, pushing my art all the time. I love biomechanical and biomech and bioorganic. That is where my heart lies. Like, my paintings are all bio.
Some of them are just plain psychedelic, though.
I guess I got some psychedelic-y.
You got a lot of psychedelic, visionary kind of stuff that you're doing.
But with bio aspects to it, usually.
Oh, for sure.
Like, maybe not necessarily like a strong, thorough bio-organic piece, but, it'll be like a bio landscape or something.
I just mentioned visionary. A lot of people don't know what visionary means versus surreal. And a lot of work that I do would be like on the surreal realm, where like I've switched colors around, or there are just things mashed together that don't usually belong together. But visionary, when we talk about visionary art, that is basically any art that has been concocted out of a daydream or out of psychedelic experiences. I don't know, in my opinion, I think visionary artists, and this is only an opinion, I think they're kind of like the upper echelon of artists, because we're taking something from a whole nother realm and we're figuring out how to translate that into something for everybody to see and to feel those things that like you can't quite put your finger on, and those visions that you can't actually see in this reality, but like they still exist, they still came from somewhere.
Right.
Whether it's ourselves or whether it's from chemistry, So when we say visionary art, and I talk about Jordan's visionary art, I think it's even like a step further than bio, because now we're playing with energies. We're playing with a whole nother realm, where bio kind of limits us to earth forms and physical growth and mechanics. And when we talk about your visionary paintings, they're just daydreams come into life. So that's something really cool. Like you use bio aspects, but it's further. The most obvious example of that would be like Giger. You know, his stuff is incredibly bio for sure, but it's visionary. He was creating spaces and nightmares and daydreams. So I just think it's fair to throw you into that visionary bubble.
Thank you. And I definitely connect with that. I do. I think a lot of my work definitely comes directly from visions in one way or another.
Do you think it's important to like pause and clarify as we touch on phrases and stuff? Do you think that's important, or do you think it
like
kind of muddies it up?
Like this, where we just touched on visionary?
I'm just like, hey, let me tell you what this word means. The artists say all the time, but if you're not an artist, you might not know.
I think it's great. I think it's great. Yeah, okay. I like these little rabbit holes. I know, you know, I don't know. I think they're good to go down, and they do clarify things, and it gets us in the moment to be able to get the idea down, because I mean, we're not scripted here, guys. We're just, we're just sitting here with coffee, Red Bull, and fucking smoking blunt after blunt, and talking about what we know and our wisdom, what we've experienced. I feel like me and Fawn have experienced more than a lot of people have.
For our ages experience, especially, we've been really blessed. But we're both like workaholics and don't have a life outside of tattoo.
Right. All we do is tattoo and art, basically. That is our lives entirely. Mm-hmm. And so through that, a lot of experience in those realms.
But I feel like we're both in really healthy places where we're like passionate and not bitter, not burned out. I've experienced that. Yeah. I have worked through that. But
in my early days, my first few years, I experienced the burnt outness to a small degree. And then as soon as I got a hold of tattooing and stuff and started being able to apply my own art to it, then I started loving it. And I got the big breath of fresh air and started working with better people. And I love what I do. In no way is it something that I get stressed out about, get fatigued about. I get so stoked about every tattoo, and if I don't every tattoo, I love them all, to be honest. And I love that, and I love that I'm at a point in my career where I love to go to work every day, and I love to create something
sour
new.
Grapes in the batch.
Yeah, and most of the grapes are wonderful people. Grapes,
nice.
They're wonderful grapes. And I appreciate it. I'm super grateful. It's, I know I've done a lot to get here, but I'm more grateful for, the people in my life, the connections that I've made, and the clients that I've had, because that is what has gotten me where I am. It's the other people in my life. I couldn't have done it without any of that.
Yeah, it takes
I could have done everything I did, but without that, it's make those connections, everywhere you can. Make friendships. Be good to your clients. Make friendships with your clients.
Yeah.
And other way around, just be a good person to everybody, and good things will come, and whatever you want to manifest, you can manifest. You just got to want it. Set the intention and then get it, and be a good person, and it will happen.
Both in your collection and your career.
Right? And in your life, in all ways. But your collection as well. You apply that directly to your collection, and you'll have the best collection. You'll have the best piece of art ever. Nobody in the world will have that piece of art, and that will be you. You will be that special piece of art out there. So, collect your collection wisely. Keep listening to our podcast. We'll keep telling you. Keep giving you some good information, we hope.
Yeah. Before we wrap up today, one of the things that we talked about yesterday we did a kind of like dress rehearsal run through just to like play with the equipment and make sure everything was working and kind of like start training ourselves to sit like appropriately close to the microphones. But one of the things as we were just like rambling on about things when we want to talk about was to love yourself. And that was like, we started talking about tattoo aftercare, and like the best thing to do before and after a tattoo is like treat your body like you love it.
Mm-hmm.
So we rounded back to that several times. So let's touch on a few of the reasons we said that over and over again. What do you do when you are preparing for an upcoming tattoo appointment?
I most definitely get a great night's sleep.
You don't go out partying the night before?
I don't go out partying. I don't drink a bunch of booze. I don't do a bunch of drugs. I don't come in to the tattoo on acid or super hungover or in a bad mood or anything. I leave that shit at the door, and 2 days before, don't give yourself a bad time.
What else should you do? Should you drink water, eat right, treat your body like you love it?
Yeah, of course. Drink lots of water. Eat a good meal before you come in. Just eat good food. But, on the love yourself thing, you should be doing all of those things all the time. Especially before you're tattooed.
You want to set yourself up for a good feel.
And after you get tattooed, love yourself. Make sure you eat good food. Sleep good. Your body's healing, and if you're getting a really large tattoo, it's a lot of healing, and your body goes through a lot to heal it. So give it what it needs. Take your vitamins. Do what it takes to just love yourself, because that's what that
Treat
means.
Treat your body like you love it. Treat yourself like you love it. We talked about that when we were touching on the real estate topic. Being smart, knowing that you've only got one body, planning ahead. Treat your body like you're going to have it the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't be cheap, because it's your body. You're going to have it the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things. We got one more blunt.
One more. All right, we're going to hang out. And smoke this blunt. But I like this subject of loving yourself. I think you apply it to tattooing, but you should apply that to your entire life.
We're not going to say love yourself at every episode. We might.
We're not.
But it just is something
we'll touch on it here.
We kept rounding back to every topic. The more serious it got was just take care of yourself, respect yourself.
You'll make better decisions in life.
Choose artists.
You'll choose a better artist if you love yourself. And that's part of that, You make strong, bold decisions. Don't do something because it's what's easy. Seek out the artist you really want. Find the style you want, and don't be afraid to contact an artist who you think's art is super amazing, but you think they might be booked out a year, or you think whatever it might be that you can't get in, or they might not message you back, or they're too good for it. Just reach out. And that might be exactly the project that they're looking for.
To hear back from an artist.
Yeah.
Like, you might not hear back in a day or a week or even a month. It might take a while sometimes. But isn't it crazy that, like, once that email contact has happened...
And when they hear what they want to hear, they're going to be super happy about it. Don't contact someone who does traditional to do a portrait, though, Contact someone who does the style you want and ask them for the style you want. If you have an idea outside of that and maybe they want to incorporate it, like, that's cool. But it never hurts to ask anything. But at the same time, if you want a response and you want to hear back, artists might be more apt to get back to you promptly if it's something they're really stoked to do. Mm-hmm. And they're going to be stoked to do it if it's, up their alley of things that you've seen them do. I feel like that's where I'm
at as an artist right now, is I am trying to concentrate only on large full color scenery, and I have a lot of people hit me up for many other styles that don't fall within those parameters. But it doesn't mean like no forever. Like there are some people that like it might be worth waiting till I start doing black and gray stuff again. I'll do that, but like for this time in my life, I'm only doing color stuff. So it's where I like, even if spiritually I'm the right artist, I might still be, but be patient. Be patient. It might take a while, but it might not, and that's where it goes back to having an idea that's right up your artist's alley and what they're doing. And that brings me to another idea that I like to talk about, and that's called letting your ideas ripen. So the first time I came to Adam about working on me, he didn't say yes. The second time, he didn't say yes. But there were several months in between each. So, like, the ideas got bigger, and the ideas got... I was able to articulate more about what I liked of his style and, like, really let him know, like, the things that I liked, not necessarily that I wanted a copy of any one of these. And once I figured out how to articulate that with him, then it all just flowed so easily. So sometimes it's just a matter of the timing might not be right, or let your idea evolve. Like maybe you could do something better with that real estate, and that's why the artist is dragging their feet. Like there are people that hit me up with ideas because they saw this on Google or on Pinterest and they want this. And I'm just going to use, for example, roses in a pocket watch. You really want that? Like, out of all the things we could do with your sleeve, you want to be another person with roses in a pocket watch. I mean, I get it. You can do a lot of symbolism, but, like, don't you want to tell your own story? Don't you want to be original? So those are the ideas that I really drag
Don't
my
pick an
feet on.
idea
Just you can
just
do
because
something
you've
so
seen
much
it.
more individual and unique with that real estate.
And know your artist is the imagination that
it's
you
not
need.
even
Like,
about
don't
money.
worry about imagining all of exactly what the
It's
tattoo
about-
has to look like too before you come to them. You know, I get a lot of people that hold off for a while because they're just like, I just can't think of what I want. I'm like, that's what I'm here for, though. Like, you came to me for a reason. Like, show me stuff of mine that you like, and then give me a small idea of, you know, what you want, and I can integrate this into an awesome tattoo that's going to flow with your body really great. And so there's, you know, a level of just like letting go and letting the artist, you know, just kind of do their thing, as opposed to you having to imagine exactly how everything has to be placed up and down your arm or all over the place, because, you know, we've done a lot to, you know, fill our understanding and our arsenal of, you know, design techniques and the elements of art and design in general, years and years and years and years of learning how to put together a composition. And so you can't really cheat that, and, you know, just don't worry. Just let go. Let us do our thing. If you come to an artist for a reason, just completely unload your ideas and then just unload them. And then don't worry, the day's going to come. And at absolute worst, if they come up with something you don't like, you know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you just weren't on the same page.
Right. Your artist isn't going to be pissed off. And if they are, I mean, it's... Just don't be a headache.
Ideas, you probably don't have the chemistry to bring that idea to life in the best way it can be brought to life. So don't be offended, and don't be afraid to tell an artist right off the rip, like, that's way off the mark. And don't take it personally. A mature, well-rounded artist wouldn't take it personally. You know, for instance, I do a lot of things freehand, and I always tell people before we even go to the mirror and look, like, this is just marker. If you look at this and this is way off base, I can take some photos of it, save the idea, and we can wipe it off with alcohol. The way I schedule, I have the entire day. So if I have to spend another hour and a half drawing, that's not really a big deal to me. And, you know, it happens. It doesn't happen often. I really try to get the story behind whatever I'm doing. But sometimes somebody will look and like, this area doesn't look right, or they'd rather this be over here, or, and you know, I welcome that. But I also don't take it personally. So I feel like any well-rounded artist would be the same. So if you
that's
if you had
I
an
would
artist
agree
draw
with.
something up. Now let's talk about a little bit of etiquette there. If you gave an artist a deposit or an art fee to draw something and you didn't like what they came up with, they put time into it. The classy thing would be to let them keep that art fee and just like thank them for their time, and you're gonna keep looking for
Right.
another
Know
artist.
that,
If you're really
know
far
that up
apart.
front. Like for me, your deposit will be if I have to. I'll make design changes within reason for sure. Like maybe even just redesign the whole thing the day of if
scenario
we get to
should be
that.
rare, though.
But if it doesn't end up being that day, then the deposit normally goes towards the drawing fee, and that day, and that just means yeah. I mean,
The
it's just a drawing. We did take the time to do it, and it's not that we're gonna get upset and mad. We just have to have that for our time and understand that up front. But
I feel like it would break my heart.
if
as a
you knew what
tattooer
went into it, you'd
if-
understand. I mean, sometimes I spend 8 to 12 hours on a drawing, and I understand drawing it that there's a chance that you might not completely like it, and I might have to redraw it. No matter how much time and effort I put into it, there might be something that puts us on a different wavelength. There's something you weren't thinking, or you don't like, or something. So it can always happen.
As a tattooer, I'd be disappointed if I drew something up for somebody and they waited till the very end of the tattoo and they were just bummed out. Like,
Yeah, see, that's
so
the
that's where you gotta
ultimate.
communicate.
That's where I have the ultimate amount of patience, because I never want that.
Yeah, I put
I want you to
everything
be
into making a
whatever
tattoo
it takes.
as good as it can be,
I don't
so
care
I don't want to miss the mark.
if we have to do it 350. No, I don't know. There's a certain amount of times, but I don't care if we got to do it 4 or 5 times. Like, whatever it takes to just get the tattoo right and get
I've
the
seen-
stencil right and get it looking
I
right
feel
on
like
your
a lot
skin,
of
because
time-
it's gonna be there forever.
I feel like a lot of the time with your work, you get real nitpicky about size and how it fits on the body and
Yeah.
fully taking up the body part. I think that's a really important thing, and I think it should look like it's been there all along with the way that you work.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredibly important. But a lot of times you're just playing with size. You're not redoing the whole design. You're not going back to the drawing board. It happens though sometimes, huh?
Yeah.
Not often. Usually it's just like a subtle little adjustment or add this or take this out. But for the most part,
Are you saying when I lay down a stencil, having to redo the stencil or change it up?
yeah, like it's probably not often that you get as far as to putting the stencil on and then have to make major back to the drawing board changes.
Oh yeah, back to the drawing board.
That's what I'm talking. I'm
never.
talking about the overall.
Honestly, after
it's just
like
like
if we've
size
gotten
and
to
flow
stencil
issues, right?
stage, if we've put in the stencil on the skin, like it's been years, probably
Yeah.
at least a year or two since I've had someone be like, no, it's just not how I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe size wise, we change size, but never a back to the drawing board. That just doesn't happen. I think we have a good enough I have good enough consultations and talk, and we get on the same wavelength and page at the consultation and when we discuss it, that we're never that far off. And if there was anything that made me think there was something I wasn't sure about, I usually contact them the day before with the drawing, so I don't have to do a major change the day of. So that happens, and sometimes I can read it a little bit, and then I see what they think, and they, like, oh, this and this, and I'm like, okay, cool. That was kind of what I wasn't sure about. So I'll make those changes day of, and then we get it on the skin, and we're super happy about it. And usually in those cases, that was the best communication we could have gotten. We end up with a product that was awesome, and maybe I had just a hard time seeing something while I was tattooing it, and then that little bit of contact. So it's usually an intuitive type of thing that I flow with when I'm doing that. But three out of four, probably 90% of the time, it just flows smoothly, like you were just saying.
Yep. It's rare that you should be unhappy with a drawing. Anytime an artist has taken the time to sit and draw, they've considered what is going to look best on you, how it's going to fit, how it's going to flow. I do a lot of stuff freehand, so sometimes I just show up with a daydream. Like, I'll scribbly sketch, and then I'm ready to just draw on the skin. But all of that takes consideration. So if an artist has taken the time, trust that. But if they're way, way off the mark, or it is just the opposite of what you imagined, like there was something lost in translation there, or you're just asking for a style they don't do altogether. But most of the time, if you do your homework and you find the right person, it should just be a matter of kind of throwing your ideas out there vaguely, and they should be able to ask the right questions to imagine something similar to what you're imagining, and that's what they try to do. That's what I try to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So trust it. Sometimes there might be surprises, things might be bigger or smaller, but a lot of artists, especially really good artists, are going to know magic of layout and magic of storytelling. So trust those things. There's a lot of nuances. We'll get into all that more.
Right, and knowing that there's more there than what you can think of at that moment than what when you're discussing with your artist.
Yeah,
there's a lot
that happens.
when they're looking at your arm, thinking. They're like, my wheels are fucking turning. If you see me staring off into space, looking at your arm like a fucking cobra, like, like it's like, I don't. Your face doesn't exist. Nothing exists around my peripherals. It is a kaleidoscopic magic space of creation.
How will it?
Right.
If they turn like this, it'll
right.
Look like
There's just
that.
a conveyor of thoughts just shuffling through at light speed. And it's wonderful. I love that feeling. Like, it's the same feeling of, like, staring at a canvas. Or when you, like, start making a couple lines in a canvas and you start seeing something and you're, like, your eyes just go, whoa, okay, that's, okay, I see. Put that there. Put that there. I put that there. Oh, now I see that. Like looking at a cloud or something, you know, and a cloud slowly, you're like, oh, that kind of looks like kind of looks like a tiger,
idea.
And then it's a
look at
tiger,
it and it appears,
and then it's like a really detailed tiger, and then you're like, that's a tiger, and then it's like, oh, that's a mama tiger. Oh, there's a baby tiger and another tiger. What? And a dragon. Wait, and a giant pillar fucking land of Greek pillars of fucking cosmic wonder. What? That's in the clouds. But that's what I love about the visionary aspect of art, is like those are the things that I like to get out and just follow down that path. You see a vision, like, that's what I love about taking something abstract like bio and taking an abstract form and then just detailing that until it's totally realistic and just becomes something. So it's like you find a vision in a shape, but that vision is a conglomerate and like cornucopia of different things that you've registered from life and have. So if you've just like data copied fucking absorbing light from the universe on an object, so you learn everything is just light, so you've just absorbed that, put that into what you're doing. All right, I'm too high. I was getting too woo woo there. This is five blunts deep. Sorry.
Watching him tunnel down the rabbit hole. As soon as he starts talking about light and space and energy, Jordan's driving the spaceship.
Yeah, I got too many blunts to talk about that right now. I get looped, and then I forget what I'm talking about.
All right. I feel like we've had a pretty good coffee and blunt sesh. Is there anything that you feel like we need to touch on or talk about as part of our first podcast? Anything we didn't?
I think we've pretty much talked on it. I think so. There's a lot we can get into. Lots of subjects and rabbit holes to go down. I think today was for introducing ourselves Fawn Baker, and Jordan Rookus. We hope you guys liked our podcast. We're going to keep making these, putting them out. They're our humble little thing. We just chill in the morning.
Commentating part. You're good at that. The
Thank-
introduction and the
Thank you.
welcome. welcome. I'll just be the hype man. I'll be like
Yeah.
in the background.
Nice. I'm
Amping
glad.
you up.
I'm
What,
glad you
what?
enjoy it.
Jordan.
Oh, tattoo collecting.
101.
101. 1111. Pretty soon here. Wait, I'm gonna have the synthesizer. We're gonna get into it. This thing is gonna grow and evolve, and you guys are gonna grow and evolve with us.
We're silly.
I know.
You'll have fun and be silly with us.
Yeah, it's
We'll
gonna
make
be a
that
grand
hard,
time.
Talk about it and
You'll watch me go down my Babylon rabbit holes of babbling on about spirit stuff too.
we talk about
You're gonna love it.
stuff a lot.
You're gonna love it because I love integrating it into everyday life. But I don't know. I'm not real religious or anything, but I believe in energy,
Yeah, we should
and I
have
feel
the,
it,
sea urchin
and I like to
here
communicate it.
And more crystals.
We
Have
didn't.
you introduced the old Jade yet?
Okay.
We have a
Last.
guest. He's more like the producer, so
So he manages the office here. This is the old Jade. He's 70 years old, so he's quite a bit older than all of us. He's lived longer than myself. He's been through a lot, but he's here. He hangs out with us.
once
He
we
will
start-
outlive us most likely.
Once we start sharing some videos, you'll get to know him real well. He
Mhm.
has some insightful input here and there.
And look out for the next podcast that will be starting soon, called The Old Jade Podcast.
The old Jade.
The Old Jade Podcast, where we're going to talk about, I don't know, anything. It won't just be tattoo stuff. I love tattooing, but we're going to get on it all in the other one. Anything, everything. We'll have new people in here all the time. But
It'll be fun.
yeah, we'll get into that. As that develops, I'll give
Alright,
you all
guys.
more info.
Well, I'm ready to finish this blunt and go do some space tattoos.
Oh yeah, Fawn's got to get to work.
Yeah, I gotta work today. I got somebody coming in.
Oh
A
shit.
collector. I have a collector coming.
Well, all right. Thanks, guys. If
All
you've
right,
made it
guys.
this far,
I'll catch you
I
next
love
time.
you. Goodbye.